Salió de Colombia con el sueño de convertirse en médico y al llegar aquí a los Estados Unidos se enfrentó con varias barreras, una de ellas la económica, y es que nunca se imaginó que se convertiría en el propietario de este hospital localizado en Hialeah, donde una vez vino de emergencia con su abuela y casi no pudo pagar el almuerzo. La historia del doctor Michel, aquí en 101 with the Mayor.
Colombia, Colombia.
Welcome to another version of One-on-One with the Mayor. I am your mayor, Steve O, of the city of Hialeah, and today is a great pleasure to talk to a doctor who's invested in our community, but not in the traditional way, a little bit of a different way, in hospitals. So today with us is Dr. Michel, and there's a Hialeah story here, the owner and operator of Larkin Hospital. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So, let me tell you a little bit about what we do with this. We talk about our 100th year anniversary. We turn 100 years, and there's a lot, right, to talk about. And we feel that all roads either lead to or lead out of Hialeah, but they intersect here in the city of Hialeah. And I think it's important, so those that are new, la gente nueva que se vienen a la ciudad, que conozcan un poquitico quién son la gente que crean oportunidades, trabajos, han invertido, la historia de nuestra ciudad, where they might think that this was all here because the Martians built it. No? Mm-hmm. So the idea is to educate them a little bit. So tell me about your Hialeah story, which I just found out, and I was very surprised to hear it. Tell me about your Hialeah story.
Thank you,
Sure.
Mayor. But, like you said, all roads lead to Hialeah. At least for me, they have. This was more like a homecoming to me when we got involved with Palm Springs 9 years ago, the old Palm Springs General
Sure.
Hospital. Pero yo comencé en Hialeah, vine de Colombia a estudiar medicina,
Yeah.
y fue a Miami-Dade College, aquí en el North Campus. Y cuando el advisor, cuando llegué, en ese tiempo no había internet. Entonces el advisor me dice, estaba riendo, me dice, ¿por qué te estás riendo? Me dice, no, porque somos un junior college. Yo sé, ¿qué quiere decir eso de junior college? Yo no sabía qué quería decir. Porque en nuestros países tú terminas tu high school y después vas a medicina. Y esto me dice, no, aquí tienes que hacer 4 años. Y si estás lucky, te va, bueno, 2 años aquí, después tienes que irte por la Universidad de Miami.
Yeah.
Después tienes que coger un examen que se llama MCAT. No te va a ir bien porque tu primer idioma no es inglés.
Yeah.
Y
O sea, ya te estaban poniendo trabas.
Total. Y me dice, a lo mejor que te puede hacer irte para Santo Domingo, una de estas islas. Digo, pues
Yeah.
yo vengo de Colombia, me hubiera quedado allá.
Claro.
Me dice, no, pero eso es lo que te sugiero porque va a ser bien complicado. Yo desde ese día, lo que hizo fue que kind of encouraged me more. Porque
Sí.
I set my clock 1 hour, 1 hora antes de tiempo. So, para mí siempre era 1 hora antes.
Oh my goodness.
Llegaba
Okay.
1 hora antes a todo.
Good.
Y de verdad que lo tomé muy en serio y me ayudó muchísimo. Es verdad lo del MCAT, lo tuve que coger 3 veces.
Okay.
Él tuvo razón en esa parte, pero gracias a Dios no solamente pude estudiar medicina, que lo terminé aquí en el Jackson Memorial Hospital, de Miami, sino también obviamente me pude volver con Larkin y ahora volver a Hialeah. Yo me acuerdo todavía cuando mi abuela tuvo una vez un problema de dolor de pecho y estábamos ahí en el mall del Westland, la llevaron a este hospital. Y yo me acuerdo que yo hasta dormía ahí, pero yo nunca pensaba en my wildest dream que posiblemente iba a poder ser el dueño del lugar. Yo creo que no podía ni afford la comida en la cafetería ese día.
Wow,
but it's a story que yo creo que especialmente para la audiencia que está escuchando, la gente joven o a unos padres, de que el sueño americano todavía existe. It's not like it's gone away.
Yeah, we're a big believer in that, right? And I feel sometimes it's a different incarnation for different folks. One may just come to put a business. One may be to sacrifice everything for their kids to have that American dream. So it's different versions. So I'm curious. Vienes de Colombia. Now you're going to be confronted with this world of education to get to where you want to get to, ¿verdad? Yeah, we know you took the test 3 times, okay. But you passed it, that's all that matters
right.
at the end of the day, right? Okay. So, but tell me a little bit now about the private side of your life, okay? Where do you meet your wife? Do you have kids? Tell us a little bit of what we may not know about you.
Yeah, I have 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls.
The cable broke in your house.
Yeah.
No había cable, se rompió el cable.
That's right. That's right. And I'm happily married. We have my oldest is 32. My youngest is just turned 14.
Yeah.
So I have a big range there. I'm going to be a grandfather in March.
Congratulations.
He's at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. He's doing really well, doing an MD PhD.
Yeah.
So I mean, all my kids have. Two decided to go into medical school, and then I have one who works with me at the hospital. His name is Tommy.
Okay.
He kind of just learned how to run the hospital.
Sure.
Which is great to have the family involved. But yeah, that's we live in North Miami, which is not too far.
Sure.
Actually, I prefer to come here because of Miami traffic has become crazy.
Ooh, tough. Yes, very tough.
So I prefer to come here, and people say, why do you keep going? And number one is that we have a great chef here in Hialeah, as you know.
Yes.
Palm Springs is always known for that. So I love to cater people to go there. We actually built a nicer room from the last time you went. It's actually bigger.
Oh, we got to come back?
Yeah, anytime. So we got like 20 seats, and it's nice, and it's a big thing for, you could do Zoom and all that stuff. But I go to South Miami, it takes me an hour and a half.
Crazy, huh?
Each way. It's like 3 hours just in traffic.
Doc, I'm curious. We see technology basically disrupting everything we've done. Mencionabas el internet, en los 80 no existía. Ahora estamos viviendo un mundo donde los muchachos están aprendiendo con un iPad. Mi hijo está en Colombia, tiene 14 años, no tiene libros en sí, todo es un iPad, todo es computadora, hasta la forma de hacer nuestro trabajo aquí, artificial intelligence, ahora está penetrating everything. ¿Todavía existe el doctor que has to examine you, or is everything going to be done like a Star Trek with a scanner? Where do we go with medicine?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a whole new talk about AI and how AI can improve healthcare. Yo creo que como todas las cosas, ¿no? Cuando inicialmente salió el TV, todo el mundo decía, bueno, se va a acabar todo, porque yo creo que esta es una tecnología que deberíamos minar,
claro.
To the point of improving it, mejorarlo, y la razón es muy sencilla. Si a ti te trata un médico en un lugar y vas a otro médico, es muy posible en este país que el segundo médico no te trate igual que el primer médico en cuanto a las mismas medicinas, porque no tenemos un manera estándar de atender un paciente.
Sí.
Y me parece que eso es muy importante, porque todo debe ser basado en evidencia.
Right.
Sería mucho mejor. Yo creo que los pacientes van a tener mejores resultados.
Claro.
Lo que obviamente la gente tiene siempre estos miedos de que si se apodera de la tecnología, que we end up working for the technology. Those are all valid fears, pero la realidad es que en este momento 500,000 personas mueren en hospitales por errores.
Sí, wow.
Y eso no debería ocurrir.
Claro.
Y para eso existe la tecnología, para prevenir que eso ocurra.
Yo le digo a veces a la muchacha que me atiende en el Publix, que va en el self-serving y la veo limpiando la máquina, y yo a veces le digo, oye, échale aceite o algo para que se joda la máquina, ¿verdad? Porque te va a quitar el trabajo. Pero entiendo perfectamente, si hay un matrimonio entre la tecnología y entonces el cariño que puede proveer un ser humano, quizás better outcomes, ¿verdad? But again, in the healthcare world, the development of what's going on in healthcare and the speed that artificial intelligence is playing into this. Y te doy un ejemplo, our legal department, all trained lawyers, it might take them a week or two to write a legal brief, where now AI is doing it in 5 minutes, and then all they have to do is verify citations. Está cambiando el mundo, and obviously it's penetrating all in different areas. We see a full-on generation. I'm sure, how's your oldest? 32. My oldest is 33. Between my 33-year-old and my 14-year-old, who's my youngest, the level of dominating technology is night and day. The 14-year-old basically was raised with a cell phone in his hand. Now the trap is trying to get the cell phone out of his hand, pero we see, and I fear, socialization, the conversation que these kids are having are very limited to text messages, 4 or 5 words, that's it. That does concern me, but that's something in the homes that we all have to address. you land here in Hialeah, right? The ironic twist, you started here, now you're here in Hialeah. Tell me a little bit about what you've seen in Hialeah over the last, 10, 15, 20 years, the changes that you've seen.
It's been amazing for me because initially to me this was like a magic land because you come from Colombia in a situation where Colombia was like being run by drug dealers and it was being run by Pablo Escobar in those days.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of my friends when you finished high school, you go to medical school. There were people that would finish medical school and they couldn't get a job. They had to work as a cab driver. So I said, I'm not going to go to medical school to be a cab driver, so I think I'll just go to the United States and figure it out. And at the beginning, I was kind of, maybe I made a mistake. And because, I would go there in my third or fourth year, and then my friends were about to finish. I was still in University of Miami, hadn't gone to medical school yet. I still had to take the MCAT, and I was like, wow, maybe I made a mistake. Then they tell me, you have to take a year off because you're currently under a visa that's a student visa.
Yeah.
And to go to medical school, you need to a resident visa. And I had to take a year just to do nothing. And so,
but did you have to go back to Colombia?
No,
no,
I just stayed here.
Okay.
And I had a work permit, but I couldn't. I didn't have anything to work. So I talked to a friend of mine. Well, we meet Miami-Dade, and I said, what do I do for a year? He says, become a realtor. So I took an evening class, became a realtor. That year was the most incredible year of my life because I learned how to acquire property. After that, I started buying property with no money down, all that. You remember the old FHA, and So it was kind of amazing how things ended up working out, where I became more of a businessman. I can tell you the whole 4 years of medical school, probably what I learned there, most of it is probably gone because technology changes over time.
Of course.
But that year is always going to stick as the year that was more productive for me because it kind of taught me how to do what I'm doing now.
Esa licencia de bienes raíces te viene. Yo la tengo también. Yo nunca la uso porque no tengo tiempo, honestamente. In fact, I have to now do my continuing education. If not, I have to take the whole course, and I'm not interested in that. But it's interesting. I see a lot of folks as an alternative way to supplement their income is going to the real estate market. And obviously here in Dade County, the market is upside down. It's crazy with the supply and demand issues that we have. Doc, where is the future of Larkin here in Hialeah? I know you got your place in South Miami. I've driven by it many times. But here specifically in Hialeah, your campus is kind of nestled out of the way, right? Off of 49th Street, but not on 49th Street. And whoever walks there gets impressed. You got a massive campus, right? So the question is, what is the future? If I could see your crystal ball, let me see what does your crystal ball show the rest of the city of Hialeah.
So we want to provide all the services that the community needs. And we've been expanding. We started doing a STEMI call recently. We're going to do comprehensive stroke. We want to be able to provide the services that the city needs and be a good neighbor. But more than anything else, I think we also want to provide career alternatives. We want people from Hialeah to go to our training programs. Right now we have Larkin University, which is in North Miami. We have a College of Pharmacy, which is the only 3D PharmD program in the state, and the only one in Miami. We're starting a PA school in the fall. We're starting a College of Dentistry, and we're starting a College of Medicine by 2028. Some land that we bought in Naranja, but all of the hospitals, including Hialeah, would be a big part of it. And one of the things that we really want to do is encourage people that are going to public schools in Hialeah, in Liberty City, because the statistics in Florida are 3% of doctors are black and 9% are Hispanic.
Crazy.
And you look at Miami-Dade County, it's 99% black and Hispanic. Obviously, we're not doing a great job as far as encouraging them to go into healthcare. So we need more mentoring, and we want to be that. So we want to also, we also have a school of nursing.
Sure.
We'd love to have more people come from Hialeah, the young people that are currently, finishing high school to consider a career in health.
We see a lot of in this city. What we see is a lot of doctors in Cuba that are now working here as nurse practitioners and just trying to find their way until they get to a situation maybe they could go ahead and try to take a test and pass it. But it seems very ripe in Colombia, Cuba, a lot of these countries that there is the know-how, but maybe not the opportunity, and then here the language issue. But it's encouraging what you're saying, because I think those that come want an avenue, right, to do their profession. I've seen enough doctors in another country here cleaning floors and what have you. But that, I guess, it's the story of the exile, the story of those that come seeking freedom. We're happy you're here in Hialeah.
Thank you.
We tout the fact, even though there's a lot of uncertainty right now with a couple of the hospitals here in our community, Hialeah has always taken a lot of pride. We have a very mature, para no decirle viejo a la gente, mature audience in the city of Hialeah that depend on, you know, the healthcare providers that we have, whether it's a León, La Madrina, whatever that component looks like. But to have the hospitals here is critical, very critical for us. And to have you here in our city is extremely critical. If we could just, I don't want to leave the crystal ball yet, okay? You got a big campus there. We know about the hospital. Any other plans that are going on as far as the land that you have available?
We're looking at potential options. I mean, it's a 16-acre parcel right now. You know, right now we're concentrating more like doing a master plan to just figure out more or less as we grow over time, and we bring in additional services, like for example, open heart surgery, things like that. Those are things, you know, maybe becoming a trauma center for the area, which right now, you know, you have to, if you're in that area, it's kind of a little bit of a desert. You have to go to either Jackson South or Kendall or Aventura, but right here there's a little bit of a
we helicopter folks out of here all the time. And we're not taking them to local hospitals.
Yeah. Right. So that's one of the things that's kind of in the horizon is the possibility of a trauma center. But obviously all of that is going to require a lot of space. So we're trying to figure that out first. You know, housing and things like that are things that we obviously consider. But, you know, I think that we want to make sure that we first optimize whatever it is the healthcare use we're going to give it.
Right.
Think not a year from now, but 20 years from now. You know, because we don't want to be 20 years from now looking at what now we're out of space. We built a bunch of apartments, and now what do we do?
Yeah, claro.
So we want to basically be very strategic about it, because it's an asset that we know.
There's definitely a healthcare campus feel that you could create there, which would be more robust than what it is now, where it's just the hospital, right? And I could see that. You know, I've toured the hospital a couple of times, and I see that on the horizon. Doc, one last question. Esto quizá una curva, un poquito curva, pero no para que... El pueblo aprendió tanto con la pandemia. Y yo creo, se perdió un poco de confianza globalmente con el sistema de salud. We have people that were get a vaccine, don't get a vaccine. What Fauci, you're not saying it, I'm saying it, what Fauci did to our country, to the world maybe, turned it upside down. What are the lessons learned? Because I don't think we'll ever again to get to a place where, at least the next 50 years, where you could tell people to put on a mask, or get a vaccine, force them. How does healthcare overcome what we just experienced for that year and a half of COVID?
Boy, it was tough. I mean, we're still kind of recovering. I mean, some of the effects were, you know, especially for hospitals, you know, for things to come back the way that they did. I'd say, you know, there's a lot to learn. It had been 100 years since the last one.
True.
We had no experience with it. You know, now you see people years after the pandemic wearing masks. In the past, if you saw somebody wearing a mask, you thought they probably had TB or something.
Yeah,
like, why are they wearing a mask? Now people with a cold are wearing a mask. Or people are calling and saying, you know what, I'm going to excuse myself today because I'm feeling under the weather, because they're concerned. People are now becoming aware about washing their hands, about...
Sure.
And so I think overall, we've learned quite a bit.
Yeah.
I do think that, you know, the closures lasted a lot longer than they needed to last.
Yeah.
Getting the kids out of school for as long as they did, I think it hurt our kids.
Yeah.
And we're still paying the consequences. We saw the recent scores that they released on the reading and how they're all behind.
Crazy.
And they still haven't recovered. So I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned about that. But it's so difficult to, you know, to find blame, because it's hard to, you know, even when at the presidential level, when you're being told, hey, tons of people are going to die, or you need to shut everything down.
Yeah.
What do you do? You know, you have the experts telling you that. So.
Yeah, I guess, and obviously, and here's again going back to technology with social media, some disinformation, some accurate information, going against official, you know, positions on issues. I personally feel that we we will be very hard pressed. The joke during the 24 election cycle was some flu, and then the joke was, oh, it's election season now, here we go. And I think government lost a lot of credibility. I think healthcare lost a lot of credibility. And now there's almost a pursuit to try to make sure that we gain all that back. I can tell you for government's sake, right? We are trying to be as transparent as possible, owning difficult decisions and explaining why we got to these decisions, because I think people just fell out of favor, out of trust, right, with all the institutions that we had in our community, and unfortunately, we need to work to get that back. If not, the next time something comes around that is serious enough that we need to address it, my fear is that people are going to just say, whoa, time out. I've been this story before.
You know what else? People underestimate like how effective, because a lot of people blame this or that, but the fact that the vaccine was developed the way that it was by the current president, is something that's unprecedented. I'm not so sure that any other president would have done it within that time frame.
Yeah.
And then there's still controversy about that, but the bottom line is I think a lot of good things were done, and they were. And I can tell you, for hospitals, we never had to worry about money. I mean, when Trump was in charge at the time, he basically said, "What do you guys need? We're not gonna. We want you to take care of people, and we'll do whatever it takes." And so it felt good. It felt like we were being backed up.
Unprecedented time for all of us. We all learned a lot of stuff. Dr. Jack Michel. Es una historia americana aquí en Hialeah, que se repite constantemente. The American story is alive and well in the city of Hialeah, and it embodies different people that we've been able to interview over the course of time, but it also fits for Dr. Jack Michel. A Colombian, American who comes, doesn't forget his roots, but definitely comes here and partakes of the American experience. And I'm sure you've raised your kids as Americans, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Doctor, we're blessed to have you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, and God bless. And we'll see you the next time we're on One-on-One with the Mayor.